Dead soil looks like dust. It repels water, hardens under the sun, and gives your plants nothing but stress. But what if one simple act could reverse all that? What if burying a common kitchen material could invite earthworms, boost microbial life, and transform your dead patch of ground into a living, breathing ecosystem? This guide will walk you through one of the most underrated soil building tricks for the lazy gardener, a buried fermentation method that turns waste into humus with no turning, no stink, and no fancy composting system. When soil is lifeless, it loses its structure. The aggregates break down, roots can't breathe, and the organic matter vanishes. Microbial activity drops to near zero, and what you're left with is compacted dirt that barely holds moisture. Even adding compost on top doesn't help much if the underlying biology is missing. That's why we need to go deeper, literally. Dead soil often lacks fungi, earthworms, and beneficial bacteria, and the quickest way to bring them back isn't by tilling or spraying microbes. It's by feeding the biology underground with a slow, moist, fermenting food source that mimics nature's forest floor. So, what's the solution here? Well, it's actually burying a moist, starchy material that ferments underground and, kind of awakens the soil from the inside out. What turned this soil from dry and gray to black and worm-filled wasn't compost. It was actually a sloppy mixture made from old bread soaked in water for about 24 hours until it became this sticky, fermented mash. The bread acts as a carbohydrate-rich microbial buffet, encouraging fungal networks, bacteria, and worms to rush to the feast. When you bury it about 4 to 6 inches deep, this mash starts transforming the area within just, 2 weeks. So, why does it work so well? Well, it's because it hits all the keys. It stays moist, it decomposes anaerobically at first, which produces fermentation gases that certain microbes just love, and it releases sugars and amino acids that soil organisms really thrive on. Unlike raw vegetable scraps, which take a while and often attract pests, this mash quickly melts into the soil and disappears, leaving behind a fungal-rich black zone that's just teeming with life. Okay, so start with a patch of soil that feels hard, dry, or compacted. Use a shovel to dig a trench or even just a few planting holes about 6 inches deep. And honestly, don't worry about perfection here. This method is really forgiving. Next, take some stale bread, any type will work, and soak it in a bucket of water for about 24 to 48 hours. Give it a stir now and then to help it break down. Once it turns into a thick, slurry-like consistency, and starts to smell a little sour, kind of like fermented dough, you'll know it's ready. You can also add a tablespoon of molasses or a scoop of finished compost to help jumpstart microbial activity. Then, just pour or scoop the bread mash into the trench or holes, and cover it completely with the original soil. After that, water the area gently. Over the next few days, the microbes in the soil will begin to digest the mash, and within 7 to 10 days, you'll notice a softening of the soil texture. In about 2 to 3 weeks, dig into the same spot, and you may find worms, mycelium strands, and a rich, dark, crumbly structure forming. The buried mash method creates an underground buffet that remains moist and warm, ideal conditions for earthworms. They don't like dry soil, and they're not fans of raw vegetable waste lying on the surface. But once the mash starts decomposing, it creates a scent trail that draws them in. As they feed, they aerate the soil and leave behind castings that are rich in enzymes, nutrients, and beneficial microbes. Within a month, the number of worms in your test patch can double. Their presence accelerates the breakdown of any organic material and helps create stable humus, which is, honestly, the ultimate form of organic matter. Humus holds nutrients, moisture, and microbial life for months, making it a real powerhouse in your soil. If you're dealing with a larger area of dead or compacted soil, just repeat this trick in a grid pattern. Space your mash trenches or pockets about 1 to 2 feet apart. And, in raised beds, one trench down the center or even several pockets around your plants can be enough to really kickstart revival. Pair it with a surface mulch of leaves or cardboard to protect the soil and help retain moisture. And it's important to avoid digging or tilling once the mash is buried. Just let the soil biology do the work for you. You'll notice that the areas around each mash zone begin to darken and soften. That's the signal that microbial networks are expanding. To speed up results, you can add a diluted compost tea or worm tea a few days after burying the mash. Once your soil has responded to this trick, keep it thriving by feeding it regularly, not with fertilizer but with biology. That means burying more bread mash or similar starchy inputs every month or so during the growing season. You can rotate ingredients, use overripe bananas, leftover rice, or even boiled potato peels blended with water. These materials act like underground compost teas, feeding the entire soil food web from the inside out. Mulch matters too. Once you've built humus-rich zones, you'll want to protect them with layers of straw leaves or even shredded paper. This, helps prevent the microbial life from drying out and keeps those earthworms close to the surface. Try to avoid disturbing the soil with tools. The more you just leave it alone honestly, the more stable that humus becomes. This trick isn't just about, quick results. It actually builds long-term fertility by mimicking how forests work. Feeding from above, fermenting below, and letting life do the heavy lifting. And the best part, it's almost free. Ready to transform your garden? This method may sound a little strange, but honestly, the results speak for themselves. If your soil feels dead, dry, or just kind of unresponsive, burying a fermented bread mash could be the breakthrough you've been missing. You don't need to wait for compost to cure or spend money on amendments. Just use what you already have in your kitchen and let biology handle the rest. If you found this guide helpful, go ahead and subscribe to Soil Doctor for more soil-saving tricks that actually work. Don't forget to share this video with fellow gardeners, especially those struggling with hard, lifeless soil. Let's bring the ground back to life, one buried mash at a time.